Tom Campbell and the Tom Scotts of internet wrestling, Adam Pacitti.
I understand one. I understand one.
I'll give you one
Thank
that
you.
you'd get.
That's a big compliment as well.
You turned me on to Tom Scott. There's a great video where...
Clip that. You turned me on. Cut it. Tweet it. Thanks very much,
You're
Tom.
quite good at turning me on. News. We have the reason that no matches have been announced for WWE TLC. A major change is coming to the WWE Network. And NXT versus AEW ratings have been announced. We'll get to them soon. Which match are you most excited for TLC? Exactly. Week Sunday, the show happens and we have 0 matches. Nearly.
Sure.
0 matches announced for TLC, but there is apparently a method to the madness here, Adam.
That's right, via the Wrestling Observer. Mr. McMahon's okay, Vince's new philosophy is that the pay-per-views are all about network sign-ups. That makes sense, right? It used to be pay-per-view buys, now it's network sign-ups. Cool. But the belief is, based on the patterns of sign-ups, that they're big on the last day of the show. So they want to do stuff super close to the pay-per-views to create excitement and get lots of people, a big old influx of people, when they say it's like, this match. Yeah, okay, that's cool. And if their data suggests that, then I don't have a massive problem with that as a fan. I'm all about data. I'm all about the analysis of data. And if that's working, that's working. Cool. For us, speaking very, very selfishly, this is awful. Because we've got predictions to do, we've got pitches to do, and if we don't know the matches, how do we do any of it?
Pretty much bollocks is our Friday, I'll be perfectly honest.
Yes, it really does. It happened a couple of months ago, and I thought, and then Survivor Series came around, and it's just like, oh, okay, now they're sprinkling them in. This is fine. We got a few weeks. Like 2 weeks before, we had at least 4 or 5 matches announced. And
what was the show that we had a few months ago? we went in to record predictions, and we're like, we don't know any matches.
Couldn't do it. It was the one before Survivor Series, wasn't it, for sure? I don't know. I get it, but it's frustrating for us. I'd be interested to know if it's frustrating for fans, because I don't think I'd mind it that much.
I don't get why you can't do both. Like, where you can have those matches with nice, long, deep, interesting builds, and have those matches that you just sort of go oof at the last minute. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's kind of.
And that's the thing. Like all of the matches, they're generally pretty obvious. Maybe not the stipulations, but we know we're probably going to get Bobby Lashley, Rusev. We know probably going to get Reigns, Corbin.
Well, these are the matches that were sent to the Target Center. A Dynamite Heady reference. You're so welcome. Target. Roman Reigns versus King Corbin is happening. We reckon that might be a dog collar match, but we don't know.
Yes.
We're going to see Bobby Lashley versus Rusev. They might actually this might happen this time, like at Starrcade, where they went, no, it won't happen. Oh. And the one that's been sort of hyped locally has been the TLC match for the women's tag titles between Asuka and Kairi Sane, defending against Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. None of these matches have been confirmed on television.
No.
A week and a bit out.
How do you feel about that match?
I'm fine with it. Here's the thing, right? Becky Lynch has been upset that she's in the tag division. Charlotte had some comments about Corey Graves' discussion on Charlotte's character.
We'll talk about that in the next video.
More on that later, you suckers. But and we'll talk about that in the next video. But I have some issues with the way that the women's tag titles are being treated, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I'm fine with that match. That could go on last. That's a big match.
Sure.
That's a big match. And it's just, I don't see why you couldn't have done more on TV to build to that specific match. Like we're getting there in theory, but why not just say this is the match that's happening, or I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
What do I know?
I agree. I guess we're also going to get Fiend Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
IC title on the line. Maybe not. Oh, we might get Buddy versus Aleister Black. There's one to get excited for.
There you go. But apparently
I think it's going to be a good show. It's just, it's a slightly weird way of doing things, and it's something that we're going to have to sort of change our behaviour on as well.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. Us.
On the subject of getting the WWE Network algorithm excited, they launched the free tier this week, a soft launch, no hype around it. They just went, there's a cheeky little free tier for you.
Yes, it's being branded as like a beta launch just to test the capabilities of the network, I guess. It's not especially exciting, this free tier, don't get your hopes up. It's WWE.com exclusive videos, the sort of backstage interviews with the talent that they do after matches, that sort of stuff that goes on the YouTube channel as well, and all the YouTube videos as well will be on there, though George Barrios Chaos from WWE has said that they might experiment later on in putting some sort of historical content on there just as a teaser to try and get you to sign up to one of the paid packages. The $9.99 tier is staying. That's important to mention. And you know what? I think that's great because it hasn't gone up since it launched. It was good value then. It's even better value now with bloody inflation. And I think it's great. The fact that you get all the WWE, the WCW, the ECW stuff, the current pay-per-views, all that stuff, I think is a really good price.
I'm quite happy just to post Vince McMahon a tenner every month, just so I can watch whatever I want whenever I want to watch it.
Agreed.
Does that make me gauche? I don't know. But I'm fine with that.
But the current plan is, and we've talked about this at great length before, is that they are going to launch a new tier. The current price point, the rumoured price point, is $14.99, launching early next year, and that's going to feature independent shows from WWE affiliated indies, the likes of Progress, Dub X Dub, Evolve. Oh, it was Matthew there, wasn't I? Dub X Dub, and maybe other promotions ICW you might see pop up on there. In fact, we know they're experimenting with that because a few months ago they accidentally left an ICW thing. You couldn't watch it. I think it was an episode of Fight Club and it had Drew Galloway, now Drew McIntyre, on the thumbnail. So they're obviously getting that content online. You just can't watch it yet. I think that's a good price point as well.
I will upgrade to that. I'll be gauche and chuck an extra £5 in my envelope to Vince every month. Just because I would quite like to keep up with a lot of these other promotions as well.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Progress as it is, a big fan of what Evolve do as well. ICW as well, I'm really excited to see them.
Totally.
Do you think this may have an impact on the product that they are promoting? Because ICW sort of historically
pretty risque sometimes.
Quite an aggressive bit of content there. You know, they're not prone to F and Jeff on the odd occasion, among other things. And I just wonder whether, I would hope they wouldn't water down other products.
I hope so as well. The only change that I've really noticed in ICW from what I've watched is something that WWE have been forcing on all of the promotions is to stop using licensed music. But the actual content is still pretty hardcore stuff. They're still effing and jeffing, etc., etc. So hopefully not. To me, this is all about accessibility. And I think it's great that for an extra $5, an extra £5, you can get on-demand services that if you were to go and purchase them separately, would cost a hell of a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's money in the pocket of those indies. We don't know the deal that they've got, but obviously they're going to get a cut of that higher tier. So fair play to them, and they get extra advertising because of it. Maybe that'll increase ticket sales at their shows. I think this is a really good thing, and I'm actually quite excited for it.
Yeah, I'm going to pay the extra £5. Gauche bugger I am. Ratings are in. Extra, read all about it. And it's a good night for AEW.
Yeah, after 2 weeks of falling behind in the ratings because, well, some of the main roster stars were popping up on NXT basically. NXT have taken the lead once again, but it's a very, very slim margin. So AEW winning this week with 851,000 compared to 845,000 for NXT. Two very good shows once again this week, I think it's fair to say.
I think so. I enjoyed NXT this week. I don't think it was the strongest NXT they've ever put out. I've seen some of AEW. I feel like I may have enjoyed AEW a touch more.
Fair.
And that's me being very fair, and I love watching NXT. But I like how close it is now. I'm a big fan of just like how back and forth this now has been, and I hope it stays that way. Like Ross said something on Twitter which I thought was really true. Like, but we report the ratings because it's the news and that's what we do. And I don't know why it's bad to pick a side. Like, contrary to popular belief, we haven't picked a side. We talk about all the things. But it's great to see, like, on that night, so Wednesday night, like 16,000, 160,000, oh gosh, what numbers, I'm rubbish. Over 1 million people. Over 1.5 million people watching wrestling on Wednesday night.
Yeah, about 1.7 mil. 1.7 mil.
Some nights over 2 million people are watching wrestling in 2019.
That's really good.
Great.
I think there is this sort of toxic fandom sometimes in that you see, like, WWE will put up a tweet saying, this is coming to NXT tonight, and then lots of people reply, well, I'm going to watch AEW. And AEW, like, they get it as well. Oh, I'm going to watch NXT. I don't think we need to be doing that. No. I think ratings are really important still. I don't understand the belief that ratings aren't important. Maybe that they shouldn't be as important as they are to some fans, because they don't affect us that much, but ratings, despite what people say, and like people are watching on demand and they're streaming and doing whatever, either legally or illegally, they are still important. WWE have just got SmackDown, for example, $1 billion over 5 years from Fox. If these shows don't perform, then those shows get cancelled or the deals don't get renewed. They are still very important, and this does hark back to a WCW versus WWE thing, because it was fascinating then, and I find it fascinating now. I love reading about the ratings. I love reading about the specific demographics that are watching. I love seeing, is that program appealing to a younger audience? Are they getting new fans on board? WWE, like NXT, doing really well.
Why is the table going up at your end, mate? Getting the data excited?
I'll stop. I think they're really important. And congratulations to AEW. After a couple of dodgy weeks,
finally trouncing!
Yeah, the war is over.
The war is over.
Put the tank away.
Merry Christmas, war is over. Give me the red light, because I'm ready to go.
Oh. We are. I still love it. It still pops into my head. All these years on, it still pops into my head. We're going to talk about Bray Wyatt's red lights. So according to
He's put his Christmas decorations up, and they look flipping lovely.
According to the Wrestling Observer, Bray's not a fan of them either. That's the news here, and I think this is interesting. So apparently Rollins was outspoken earlier this week on Backstage, saying that they made his job a hell of a lot harder, especially with the red cage around him and that.
Yeah, and they didn't know the red lights were staying on for the whole match until the match started.
No, Jesus Christ.
Whoops.
And apparently, like, all of the fans live, they're not into it. There's no apparently about that. It's pretty obvious that they're not into it. At home, it just makes things very difficult to watch, but they keep doing it. And he said here, they could add the red for people watching on television without screwing the wrestlers and live fans through production. Although it's a dumb idea either way. So yeah, they could essentially put a filter on, is what he's saying.
They did try this in the 90s with Kane. And that was in an era of standard definition wrestling.
Yes.
And I think they did it for a handful of weeks before they went, actually, this is a terrible idea.
It was a bad idea then, it's a bad idea now. It just makes things a lot more difficult to watch. I get what they're doing. I get
like
the sort of
what
the
they're
marketing,
going
and
for.
it's something unique, and I like that. I like experimenting with new things, or them experimenting with new things.
Is there a way you could still have that without... I mean, obviously, Meltzer suggests like having a red filter on the screen, a la... because they've done stuff like that before, like NWO in 2002,
sure.
Gold Dust through his heyday, like they had the filters and stuff. They could do
John Morrison being all slow.
John Morrison being... No, he was actually that slow.
Oh.
It was a weird thing that he had. But is there anything they could do? Like, could they use a less harsh red light?
Yeah, this is it. I think you could just pepper it.
The idea.
I'm no lighting expert or anything, but I think there are ways to just tone it down a little bit and still make it feel unique and cool, but to have it so you can actually watch the matches, that'd be really handy, right?
Actually, you know what? If you are a lighting expert, stick in the comments how you make it better. I'm not being piffy. I'm genuinely. I think that you could. There's got to be a solution to this, which means that it's not like watching wrestling through a Virtual Boy, and it's not an eyesore for people in attendance, and the wrestlers can, I don't know, see what they're doing.
Would be nice.
That'd be handy.
Would be nice, wouldn't it? Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.